house is burning, but we're still sitting in the glow. Phones charged, lights on, pretending we don't know. But the forest is silent, the river's running low, and the flame on our plates is the strongest fire we throw. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. 7 boundaries broken, the earth pushed past the line. Climate, land, species, fresh water, chemicals, nutrients, oceans in decline. Not danger, disaster in real time. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Metafoodians rise, this is your power. And here in India, one truth stands the same. Milk is not just milk, dairy feeds the flame. Cows and methane, fields and forests turn to grain. Politics, culture, carbon, all wired to the same chain. Every cup of curd is heat in the air, every block of butter is a forest repair. It's not a small habit, it's a planetary affair. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is our hour. Energy fixes half the hurt, Dr. Rao made that clear. But food fixes the other half, the half that's burning here. Change the plate, change the land, change the future's atmosphere. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Metafoodians unite, this is your choir. Every millet, every fruit, every sapseed, every bean is water on the wildfire of a world we've never seen. Every oil-free bite is a river turning clean. This is not perfection, it's direction. Not pressure, but protection. A week of choices can cool a generation. A company's courage can ignite a nation. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. Metafoodians unite, Metafoodians ignite. Sharing love in the metazone, light in the path to a cooler home. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Together we rise, together we inspire.
Welcome to the Planet B podcast, where truth, transformation, and faith converge. Join us as we flip the script on ecological despair, guided by Dr. Sailesh Rao's vision for a compassionate, rewilded vegan world. Let's begin the journey to the greatest transformation in human history.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to episode 27 of the Planet B podcast, Codes for a Healthy Earth. Dr. Rao, this is going to be a good one.
We are divinely blessed with the Codes for a Healthy Earth. It's the work of Dr. Shelley Ostroff and Jan Golding. They initially presented the codes to all of us, and we all signed on to it. And then, it was slightly modified over time, but it was basically the original contribution from them. It's a code for how do you create self-organized systems. and ensure the health of the planet.
That's beautiful. So let's begin with the opening quote of chapter 27.
That's Iroquois wisdom. In every deliberation, we must consider the impact of our decisions on the next 7 generations. That's the foresight of the Iroquois wisdom, which is to always think about generations to come in the future, as much as we can deduce what the impact would be. We have to take that into account before we make a decision.
How would our systems change when our focus is back to the indigenous nations' way of looking ahead 7 generations? How would everything on this planet look differently from a systems perspective?
Oh, very different, because we are now doing a lot of local optimization, local in time. It's just what can I get in the next quarter? How much can I grab right away? And that's what gets rewarded in the system. Okay, the system is designed around local optimization. And in fact, it's based on the idea that if someone looking out for themselves automatically looks out for the society that they are in. So this is what the father of capitalism said way back in the 16th century.
So that people, when they look out for themselves, they look out for others. But maybe that's not working so well in this current generation.
Yeah. This is Adam Smith in his book, The Wealth of Nations. He said that. But he was basically talking about enlightened self-interest.
Hmm.
And now if it is enlightened self-interest, what he's saying is true. Okay.
Right.
Because enlightened self-interest is looking out for others first. That's what enlightenment is about. Right?
Yep.
But people drop the enlightened out of it when they interpret it. Okay.
Yeah.
In modern capitalism, they just assume it is just self-interest will lead to the well-being of all.
Hmm. So, Dr. Rao, when you talk about the codes for a healthy earth, you mentioned earlier about a self-organizing system. So, what is a self-organizing system?
This self-organizing system is an emergent system that gets its property from the individuals behaving according to known axioms. Right? Each individual participant is behaving according to, in a way, that's what Adam Smith was trying to do too.
Hmm.
He was talking about enlightened self-interest. And then he used the example of the baker and the butcher and so on, but in reality, everyone who is participating in an economy through enlightened self-interest will actually be doing things for the well-being of others and not expecting anything for it for themselves.
Right.
That to me is true enlightened self-interest. But that's not how it is interpreted. It's, by the time Adam Smith's work was quoted in Paul Samuelson's economics textbook, the enlightened got dropped, a bunch of words got dropped.
Whoops. Enlightened got dropped. I don't know how I feel
Enlightened
about
got
that.
dropped.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I pointed that out in my first book, Carbon Dharma. I said, this is what Adam Smith said, and you look at what Paul Samuelson wrote in his economics textbook.
Yeah.
Key words got dropped so that it looks different. The interpretation is different.
It seems like there's some similarities with the UN IPCC there. It's just
Yes. It's a systemic issue, that kind
Right.
of reinterpretation. It's a very systemic issue in the system. And by dropping that, they said, okay, we are just following the same thing that Adam Smith said. But in reality, you're doing the exact opposite.
What is exactly the codes for a healthy earth?
So the codes for a healthy earth is a set of principles that we all agree to, and that once we abide by, automatically creates health and well-being for the planet and all its inhabitants for generations to come. So it's fundamentally a set of principles by which we can live that allows us to lead our normal lives and the planet thrives,
Beautiful.
right? Because right now we just lead our normal lives and the planet dies.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's the exact opposite of the way we are living today. It's a self-organizing system that the codes are trying to realize and creating a resilient way of living that enables the planet to thrive. So it's based on the vitality code of nature, which is that every living being gives as much as they can, takes exactly what they need, and becomes who they are. And when we do that, when you give as much as you can and take only what you need, you give more than you take
Right.
because you have a tremendous capacity to give,
Mm.
to serve the whole. And then all life thrives because of your giving. Now, every
Yeah.
other life form lives according to that. This is why you leave them alone and nature flourishes. And we have created a system by which we live, an economic system where we take more than we give. In fact, the object of the game in the economic system is to take as much as you can before it's too late, before somebody else takes it all away, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
based on this scarcity model. You grab as much as you can as quickly as you can. And when we do that, then we are routinely taking more than we're giving, and therefore causing the planet to go out of bounds.
Right.
Now, by doing that and having enough of us do that, we have created a life force that has the strength and the power to regulate the climate and become the thermostat species
Right.
that can now take care of the life support systems of the planet and maintain it and prevent it from ever going back to another glaciation again. Okay.
Yeah.
But to accomplish that, we have to now use that same power that we have to heal the planet and to maintain it. And the codes allow us to do that.
Wonderful. So let's go a little bit into the declaration within the code. So what are some of the main points of the declaration within the codes for a healthy Earth?
Well, first of all, it declares that we are united in love and concern for our planetary home and all its inhabitants. So therefore, we are pledging, declaring that we are going to come together as one humanity for this common purpose across all boundaries to restore the well-being of all life on Earth. Okay? So that's the first part of the declaration. And then there are these axioms, interdependence and so on that we acknowledge. And then it is about transforming our social systems to effectively serve the healing, integrity, and well-being of all life. So that is the Planet B transformation that we are talking about, right? And then restore the health and diversity of the biosphere. That's the rewilding part. And then ensure that all humans and animals can meet their core needs through guaranteed access to living soil, healthy water, vitalizing food, fresh, clean air, physical and emotional safety, comfortable shelter, the cultural and ecological conditions and resources needed for all to realize their unique potential in mutual enrichment with their communities and ecosystems. Okay,
Beautiful.
so this is a pledge we are doing. This is what we are going to be organizing around. Okay, and that's what Planet B is also trying to do. So how would you organize systems? How would you create systems that meet those pledges that we said we're going to do? How would we do living soil? How would we do healthy water and vitalizing food? So it's all about, what is our purpose on this planet and what are we organizing for?
Right.
It's not about extraction anymore. It's about restoration and cleanup.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it also talks about the education system. It's about cultivating a shared whole system understanding of our collective challenges, existing solutions, and optimum healing pathways forward. So systems thinking, systems training should be in schools.
Hmm.
Everyone should be thinking along these lines. Everyone should be familiarized with how systems behave. Because that's how we coordinate our actions and we become so powerful as a species. And if we don't understand how systems work, we can be misled down the wrong path.
It's true. Just on that point of the systems, I just remember as a young kid, something that a lot of the schools would do is the light bulb activity, where you'd have to wire, five or six
Mm,
switches, and then you turns it to the right light bulb. And I mean that stayed with me my entire life. And I think that's something
mm.
I did in like second or third grade with my grandpa. But it just
Ah,
shows that when you do that systems activity, it
right,
does really stay with you, and it highlights the importance of a system and how it functions really simply as well. So it is
right,
so
right,
it is
right.
so important.
Yeah. Collective activities like that, getting kids involved in that right at the outset and understanding our strength as a
Mm,
species. You know, we are extremely powerful as a species, but with power comes responsibilities to show compassion to those who don't have that power.
right.
Yes, you can squash them, but is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Right? Knowing our strength, we have to be much more restrained in using that strength.
Yeah. That's so true.
To be fair, humanity kind of got to understand our strength only about 30 years ago,
Yeah.
to a large extent, right? So now we have to figure out how to teach children that we have this awesome responsibility that we have to meet.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
And the fifth is to co-create a globally coordinated transition to a shared culture of peace, kindness, harmony in diversity, wisdom, integrity, accountability, collaboration, regeneration, and reverence for all of life.
Mm.
So that's the fifth declaration that we are signing on to, and we sign on to the codes.
So now
Yeah.
let's go through the guiding principles, which I think are just
Mm,
just so beautiful as a way. If we were to move in this direction as humanity, we would Planet B would be there tomorrow. So if you don't mind,
right.
let's share these one by one, the guiding principles of the codes for a healthy Earth. And the first is nonviolence in stewardship.
Right. Aspire to do no harm and to align our thoughts, words, and actions with that which is nourishing for the entire community of life. Second, protect, honor, and restore the foundations of life: earth, water, fire, air, climate, biodiversity, and the web of life. So it's really about the rewilding part,
Hmm.
about restoring the planet. Third, protect and honor indigenous peoples and their lands and integrate their counsel, wisdom, and knowledge systems in all sectors of human affairs. Because there are local knowledge, their local knowledge is invaluable
Yeah.
for all of us, to thrive. Because they know more about what's going on in their ecosystem than we would ever learn from a textbook.
And they're also they're waiting and willing and wanting to help. They're just
Right.
waiting to be asked.
They are all waiting for us to wake up and realize that they have a treasure
Right.
there of knowledge,
Yeah.
that we can tap into. And last, ensure all decisions are based on the analysis of consequences to the health of the whole for the next 7 generations, and that human and non-human stakeholders are represented and taken into account. So I think we need to have animal guardians, who are representing different sets of species and whose responsibility is to look out for their well-being.
Hmm.
Mm.
If you want to go right into the next one, which is harmony in diversity.
Yeah, harmony and diversity. Honor and heed the voices of marginalized groups in co-creating the way forward. Ensure the full protection and equality of girls and women in all social sectors. Develop our understanding about the essential and vitalizing nature of human and ecological diversity. Cultivate cultures of inclusivity that celebrate our life-enriching differences. And then acknowledge the deep layers of individual, cultural, and environmental trauma that we have undergone and work to implement holistic healing and rehabilitation strategies that prioritize the most vulnerable communities, species, and ecosystems. So first address, those who have been harmed the most and heal them and help them come back. So this is how would you allocate resources is what this comes down to.
Mm,
So in that sense, if I look at the species level, it's all the species that are on the brink of extinction that we need to try and bring back,
right.
right? And then among human beings is those who have been oppressed the most that we have to bring back first. That would be the indigenous communities who have been colonized and whose lands have been taken away from them, who have been displaced. They are the ones who need help first.
Yeah. So it's almost like it would be reversed where they would lead us
Right.
back onto those lands, educate us how
Right.
to properly use those lands. Could you share more
Yeah.
about that a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, you have to go and ask them, knowing what you know, how would we
Right.
restore this area,
Right.
right? What used to be here? Tell us your stories. So we have to start a deep listening process with
Mm,
the indigenous communities around the world. I mean, our society has the technology to help, right? But the technology has to be deployed in alignment with what they're saying should happen in that
right.
area.
Yeah. That makes so much sense too. So now, Dr. Rao, if you don't mind, we'll move into economy and law. It's a big topic
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Economy and law, the courts say, give legitimacy to those laws that protect and regenerate life and delegitimize all laws that permit harm to life. And invest only in that which protects and regenerates life and disinvest from any and all enterprises that harm or could harm life. Ensure all corporations and enterprises harming life will be supported to either transform or dissolve. And create the optimal conditions for the core needs of all humans and animals to be met as we transition to healthier economies and enterprises. So it's calling for a conscious transformation of business practices, of systems, economic systems, to be only those that heal life and to shut down anything that harms life. Okay, so which means the old model is about commodifying life. The old model puts a value on life. Okay? It's just, it's all money, dollars, right? It's all turned into dollars. And it's completely illegitimate according to this.
Right.
So it's reversing that. And I literally don't see, I pretty much once you sign on to this, you'll have to dissolve the existing system and only foster those planet B systems that are already there.
Right. Right.
Okay?
Dr. Rao,
Yeah.
how would you see like law enforcement and um like the court system? How would you see that evolved to be on planet B?
Well, planet A, it has been all about enforcing rights. Okay. So the governance is to enforce rights. Okay. And we basically give each other rights. We don't give rights to animals. We give rights to some animals. Pets
Right.
get some rights, but the farm animals get no rights. And then we are slowly saying, okay, we'll give rights to nature in some countries and things like that. It's all about rights that we are giving to other life. So it comes from a position of domination over
Mm,
life. Okay? When you start giving out rights, the rights have to be fundamentally given to everyone,
because we all
meaning
have it already.
we
Like
all
we've been
have it
given.
already.
Right.
You don't have to give it to anybody.
Right.
So the court system and the governance structures that we have in Planet B will be all about fulfilling responsibilities.
Mm,
So it's not about asserting rights, it's about fulfilling responsibilities. So if some responsibilities have not been met, how do you ensure that that responsibility is met, because it's going to impact the well-being of all.
Right. Like, do you see
Right.
kind of governance on planet B being more so like ensuring with love that rewilding projects get fulfilled and everyone is treating each other with respect and dignity, like not so much, I don't know, questioning kind of who's in charge of what, or there's just no shady schemes really.
Right. In the Code for a Healthy Earth, it says the only legitimate purpose of governance is to protect and cultivate the health and vitality of the planet and all its inhabitants for generations to come.
Hmm.
That's the only legitimate purpose of governance. Every other purpose of governance is illegitimate.
I think that says it all.
Right? Simple, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to
Hmm.
govern around that principle.
Yeah, that's the foundation of governance. It makes so
Right.
much sense.
Now, beyond that, we have to codify all that. And I'm sure there are lots of academic experts, our experts who can help us codify that so that we accomplish that purpose. And we have to then have feedback loops that ensure that you are able to change things, tweak things, if it is not meeting the objectives.
Right.
Right. So it's only when we run open loop that we get into big trouble. We don't even check what's happening to the planet. We assume it's an infinite sink for waste, an infinite source for resources. Yeah. And we don't close the loop. And that's how we
Right.
get into trouble.
That makes so much sense. Yeah. So now, Dr. Rao, if you
Yeah.
don't mind, let's go into the education, learning, and media section.
Yeah. So it informed people everywhere about the global and local challenges, their systemic causes, which is really what we are doing here, and
Hmm.
the wealth of existing solutions, initiatives, and networks from all sectors dedicated to personal, collective, and planetary healing and transformation. They're already working on it. People are already working on a lot of these things. And we just are networking them together and making it systematic. So that's the purpose of Planet B, is to make it systematic.
Right.
Then identify, develop, and scale holistic healing and regenerative learning opportunities for people of all ages, learning styles, interests, and abilities to support the flourishing of the individual, the community, and the whole. This is about helping every one of us sing our songs,
Hmm.
dance our dance, because um, someone had said, and I forget who said it, I should actually find out who it is, who said, the greatest tragedy of human beings is that the number of people who die with their song still in them. And so the purpose of education is to help you find that song, help you
Right.
express that song, cultivate the wisdom, art, and science of systems thinking and whole system health and healing, which is what we are doing here, trying
Yeah.
to disseminate this kind of thinking process.
Right.
And
Yeah.
finally, evolve our language, communication skills, creative expression, and cultural narratives to cultivate an informed, empathic, compassionate, and vibrant human society.
It's beautiful. So would you like to go into, so the final part of this section is transitioning to new social systems.
Right. Ensure that people in positions of leadership are skilled in applying the principles of whole system health and healing and fully embody the values of integrity, courage, compassion, wisdom, commitment, service, expertise, and dedication to the good of the whole. So elevate those who are generous, elevate those who are compassionate. Um, it's not about, how much can you grab, and because, as I said, the system fundamentally on planet A rewards those who are selfish and greedy.
Yeah.
So you need to reward those, or you need to give more power to those who are selfless and generous and compassionate.
Absolutely.
Initiate evolving online platforms to learn, gather, refine, and disseminate the best existing innovative laws, policies, and practices for whole system health and healing in all sectors, and to design pathways for their swift worldwide adoption and implementation according to local needs and conditions. Again, it is not one size fits all, right? So it has to be a subsidiary approach, meaning assume that the local people know better than the person sitting in a central place.
Yeah.
So decisions are made as much as possible, as locally as possible. It's only when decisions cannot be made at that level because it impacts a lot of localities that it comes to a higher hierarchy.
Which is kind
So
of the bottom up approach, which you mentioned a lot of.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. Align technology and scientific advancement to serve whole system health and healing. Again, I mean, AI is a very productivity enhancement tool. But what is it deployed for?
Right.
If it's deployed for restoring the planet, I think it's an amazing tool to use because it can gather resources, knowledge from all over and put it together and create something coherent. It'll give you a good sense of where you need to go when
Yeah.
you do that. But if it is used to create fake worlds and things like that,
Yeah.
it can be highly destructive.
Hmm.
And then cultivate self-organizing community-led wisdom and expertise circles to advise on the wisest policies and most effective solutions while giving voice to the needs, resources, and interdependencies of all human and non-human stakeholders. Okay. So basically, we have to have wisdom councils that would make collective decisions together. And it should include those who would speak on behalf of those who are not represented in human circles, that is, other species.
Hmm.
And finally, design and implement a seamless transition to new forms of local and global governance dedicated to cultivating the most efficient and vitalizing flow of energy through the entire planetary ecosystem. So, and that's where, we have to create these systems and structures that would allow us to create a planet B.
Right. And then you end it with in big letters, towards a thriving world for all.
Right. We people of Earth affirm that a worldwide adoption of the principles outlined in these codes has the capacity to solve multiple crises simultaneously and create a culture of peace with all of life. So it's a very simple encapsulation of the principles that we need to live by.
It's
It
beautiful.
doesn't give you all the details of how you would organize on that. And that's where engineers like me come in.
Yeah. And those will probably be discussed in the next book, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, I'm working on that because it's a guide to Planet B.
Yeah. Wonderful. You end the codes of a healthy earth with together we rise for all life.
Right. Together we are going to rise for all of life and basically to support life and defend life from being killed off, because that's what's going on now
Hmm.
in the current system. So I'm appealing to people to please consider endorsing and sharing the codes for a healthy earth as a universal and evolving social contract to be voluntarily adopted by all peoples of the earth. We have to do it voluntarily. It cannot be forced on anyone. I mean, if you think there is something that needs to be changed in this, bring it up. Let's discuss it.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you have a kind of a call to action? Like, should we try to share these codes with people or organizations or institutions?
Yeah, I would like this to be, it's already been signed by over 300 organizations and in 30 countries. And, but I wish it was 3 million organizations.
Yeah.
No. So it needs to be spread and people need to come to a consensus around it, because I think it's a good way for us to build upon.
Yeah.
And so the website is codes.earth. It's very simple. And if you go there, you can read it in its entirety and endorse it and get on board with it.
So, Dr. Rao, as we round out episode 27, Codes for a Healthy Earth, what message would you like to share with our audience today?
It is an exciting time to be alive, that we are actually being called to create something new. I'm grateful to be alive at this time.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Rao. Thank you to our audience for joining us today. Our next episode is another extremely fascinating one. Chapter 28 is the civilizational transformation. So I hope you join us once again. Thank you for being with us today. Planet B signing out. Bye.
This has been a podcast from Planet B, where ethics caught up with choices. If you haven't moved here yet, we thank you for visiting.
So thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm here to say that Dr. Rao is just finishing his presentation to, I believe it's the Institute of Chemical Technologies in Mumbai. And he was hoping to be finished with that and to be able to join us for questions today. So we have two things to do. One is to make note of our questions. You'll be able to ask your questions tomorrow on this subject. And in the meantime, we do have 30 minutes for anyone who'd like to join us for a conversation. I would invite you to come on screen, raise your hand, and I can call on you and we can have a conversation on these codes. Yeah, let's get started. Brittany?
So I was seeing the part where it was about giving as much as possible and then taking only what one needs. And I've seen Sailesh say this before a couple times. I feel like there's something missing to it where it's just not the full story. I get that it's a very good starting point where you are giving more than taking, but I've thought, and that was what I was taught as a kid, but since then I thought way past that. So I think about it more where it's not just taking what one needs, but rather trying to take from excesses, whether you really need it. And well, it's like where you're taking from what one needs. So it's like if you need something and someone else needs something, and there's only one of something, you might be fighting over the same thing. So you have to think about where you're taking for what you need. So that's why I believe in taking from excesses, rather than just thinking, oh, I need something, so I'm going to take it because I need it. So sometimes in that process of taking from something that has a virtually infinite store, or at least something that has enough to accommodate, you might not be taking exactly what you need, but you might be taking something that has some level of fulfilling something, and maybe in that process you might find a way to utilize it to figure out if it could help you with what you need. And then if not, maybe you could figure it out for someone else. Maybe it's for what they need. And so, I feel like a lot of these excesses, like what we consider trash, is really kind of like something that we had that got torn apart in some way. And so when you take the trash, you are essentially taking these broken off pieces and stitching it back together to where it came from. So when you do that, even if you're not taking for yourself, when you take for someone else and give to them, maybe they take up upon it and then fulfill that so that you don't, so that they could carry out something to where you're not in need. And so it goes to, I've thought past just taking up from the excesses, where I was thinking about prevention, not needing excesses to take from excesses in the first place, because that comes from a state of needing. So instead of needing, why don't we just keep these pieces intact and together to not need in the first place, so that you don't need to take. And so once you have what you need, and this is where I feel the idea of appreciation comes in, where you have, you don't keep seeking externally for everything, but internally. Then from there, you could just be in a process of endlessly giving without needing to take. And if you're taking from what you already have. And that's where I feel you get to a point of what's called ephemeralization, where you are able to do everything with nothing. So you don't have to do any effort of trying to take from something, because if you're taking, then you are taking from someone else in some way. So it's never really a net gain. It's just neutral. It's just shifting from one place to another. So true giving is where you're not taking from one place to give to another. You are coming from what you already have and giving outwards. So that's how I see it.
Those are interesting thoughts, Brittany. A lot of conversation behind all of that. I'm going to add Ken here so that he can join our conversation.
Listening to Brittany, I just thought of a very practical situation that I was in 2007. We had a major earthquake 200 kilometers south of us, and went down to see what we could do. And came back and got a truckload of blankets and very big tubs for water, and went down with this big truck, 4 of us in the truck, to distribute to the community. And we were directed to an area of the community where all the houses have been wiped out and people were literally sleeping in the streets at the beginning of winter. And the truck was just surrounded by people shouting for handouts of anything. They were just desperate. And we simply asked a couple of people to come forward who were play a role of leadership, and a man and a woman came forward after a few minutes, and we asked them to form a line behind the truck of the people who had the greatest needs, in order of their needs, and we told them how many blankets we had and how many tubs we had, and then we went away and had breakfast at a little cart. And we came back in about 20 minutes, and there was a line 2 blocks long behind our truck, and no chaos. Everybody was ready and willing to participate. Nobody cutting in line or anything. We quickly handed out everything. The numbers came out just perfectly. The people themselves knew what they needed to do. They just need somebody to call them to do it. And I think an awful lot of what we're talking about is just somebody to call people to do what they already know to do. And that's what I wanted to contribute, because I experienced that. And it was a wonderful moment, wonderful moment.
Yeah, so that was an earthquake, and now the earth is on fire.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so there's a parallel there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to stay on while I bring Tammy up?
Sure.
Okay, very good. Tammy? Let me spotlight you. Hey, Tammy.
Good morning, everyone, if you're in a morning zone.
I know Shelley Ostroff is very close to your heart, so.
Oh, in fact, my latest book, which I haven't put on Amazon yet because I have one publisher looking at it, The essence of sacred relationship, I told Sailesh that under our sacred relationship with the earth, I asked Shelley if I could use her codes for a healthy earth, and she's like, absolutely. And I was saying to Sailesh, why create something that's already done perfectly? And so it was great to see that this is part of Planet B. Yeah. It's interesting, kind of what Brittany was talking about, and this give more than you take. And it does sound like a little bit of a limiting statement in the higher realms. Gabriel Cousin used to always say there's no such thing as selfless service. And I love that because, for a while I was a little bit resentful that my daughter never showed me any appreciation, like barely said thank you. I'd take care of the kids all day. I'd bring groceries. And one day I was just over it. It's like I am here with my grandchildren serving my family, and I love playing with them. And even if, I'm doing it for me too. So for that, it's a circle. It really is a circle, because there is no thing as selfless service. I mean, how many people, I bet you, that's in this room will say that they feel like they've elevated their consciousness in some level, and their ability to show up in the world and realize how much we can get done because we have each other here. And we're doing something for a higher purpose, as Sailesh says in this book, but all teachers will say that, and all students will say that. I bet you everyone here feels that they are better off because we're together doing this work, So I do know, though, that there's a way to do it. And that's the middle ground that those are the two worlds I am always walking between. Gabriel always says we're conduits between heaven and earth. So how do we stay on this earthly plane and not get caught up in the distractions and the drama of the earthly plane, and still elevate our consciousness and know that we are here to be? And I am always walking between those two worlds. Like, I'll get really excited about something, then the excitement will turn into nervous energy, and then I'm maxing out my adrenals. It's like, bring myself down with breath. Am I hydrated enough? Am I taking good enough care of myself? Is that selfish? No, absolutely not. But sometimes in this work, do more, give more. It can be very exhausting if it's not done in a way that supports life. And we're life. We're breath, we're water, we're earth. And so I guess what I'm ranting about a little bit is that I am always trying to stay in, my first acronym in HEAL in my book, Sacred Sovereignty, is, hydration and homeostasis. I'm always trying to stay in homeostasis, and that's what I'm always teaching when I do body work and healing work with people. Because and I'll land the plane with this. I'm working with people, and I'm asking them to relax on the table, and to start to bring their awareness to their breath, and just to let go on their exhalation, to breathe in. And maybe we could do it here right now, just to breathe in nice new life. Every breath's a new life, as Thich Nhat Hanh says. And every exhalation's just letting go. What if it could be that easy, that we could let go of whatever doesn't serve us, and every breath in's a new life? So people start to feel calm, and their muscles start to relax. Like, I hardly even have to do any work as a body worker. I'm telling you, if I can bring people into like energy, like bring your awareness to your neck, see if your muscles can soften under my fingers with your breath, then in a flash their muscles start to tense. And I say to them, did you start thinking? And they're like, yeah. And I said, pay attention to how your thinking doesn't make you feel relaxed. So I guess in the circle of give and receive, because it's a circle and it's constant, and I don't think there's a differentiation, do we pay attention to whether our thoughts are allowing us to be in homeostasis and calm, or are they making us a bit anxious? And I guess in this work, I would invite everyone to give lots of attention to that, because I lose my homeostasis a fair bit, and then I get really burnt out quickly, and I feel tired instead of joyfully embodied in this vegan lifestyle. So, anyways, I went on, but yeah.
Oh, thank you for that, Tammy. And I don't know if you heard, but early on in this chapter or in this episode, Dr. Rao talked about enlightened self-interest, and that was a topic of conversation early on. So, Toby, would you like to join our conversation?
Oh, I was just going to bring up an idea I've been thinking about for a while. And when I hear like podcasts and people talking, sometimes I get reminded, and I think maybe it's good to maybe question, see what everyone thinks about the idea of having some kind of, I don't know if it's best to have a background story to maybe ask the question, but when I've been looking into older traditions of humanity, you know, like pagan things and you know, polytheism and stuff like that, and I find that quite an important thing that's part of us, and we don't really realize too much of that today, but it's inside of us, whether we realize it or not. And I think to have traditions like we have Christmas and Halloween and things like that, they are based off old traditions celebrating the solstices and the equinoxes and stuff. And I think it's important to re-engage with what that actually means, you know, so we can actually connect with the earth and, you know, our alignment with the sun and the moon and all these things. Like, we need to have something like that, some kind of story for us to be able to really connect and understand who we truly are. And we need to recite it constantly to remind ourselves why we're here and what we're doing. Especially if we're going on to planet B, we need to have remind ourselves every day, like people do in religion, you know, like, you know, pray before a meal, or to have something that we recite. And I guess you do it every day when you eat plant-based or vegan anyway. But I was thinking maybe some kind of like a Planet B Bible or something that sounds strange, but something you could like bring together that really tells this true story of humanity in with a vegan message. Something we can go back to and read over and have something kind of religious about it, or spiritual or something. I don't know, it's just an idea that I've been thinking about, to have some kind of Bible. I'm not religious or anything, but I do find it fascinating. And what are your
You're
thoughts?
not the only one that's thinking about that. There are other vegans who are thinking about that also. Yeah. Mhm.
Good.
Yeah. Mm. Mm. Does anyone else want to comment? I mean, the subject is codes. We're talking about the codes for planet Earth, for planet B. And you can go, I put the link in the chat to go to the website for the codes that we're talking about. And you can go and you can read them and you can sign and become a part of it, which is what Dr. Rao is encouraging us to do. He's encouraging us to endorse the codes. So all of this is part of the conversation, and but it helps to engage with some work that's already been done. And in this case, the eco-governance codes that are there on the website are something that we can be in dialogue with. And as Dr. Rao said, if you have something you don't agree with, or that you think ought to be modified, to get into the conversation. But let's start with this common set of codes and build on it. Ray, would you like to join our conversation?
Wait, before Ray, I wanted to say that I actually feel that what Toby's saying is pretty relevant, because it sounds like there's this origin story that might be needed for Planet B, some narrative from which the codes are built off of. You know, it's like, what's our starting point and why, you know? But I would just want to say that. Anyway.
Thank you. Yeah, well, that's because I've been thinking about it for a while, and I've been looking into religious kind of things through my wife Catherine, and it's obviously it's been part of us for a very, very long time, having a story and a reason for us being here. And Dr. Rao talks about it in his books, like human purpose and stuff like that. And I think we're at a time now where we could actually write something out, whether it's with ChatGPT or something, that can really help us do it. But I don't know if there's people who do that kind of thing, or I don't know much about it. It's just an idea, really.
If I may, Toby, I created multiple book titles for Sailesh for writings for Planet B, a whole series. I could actually share that with you. I added the origin story title to the list. I have probably over 20 titles, and that's why I feel spurred off the whole book series for Sailesh, because he said, I have this Planet B book. I'm like, you're just starting. Let's just this is not even close to enough. There's this, and then there's that. So I was creating a list, and I was showing it to him, and he's like, oh, I better get started on this, or I only have so much time, but it's like that. Yeah, he's like, sorry, I keep losing my train of thought, but I believe that the Planet B and the next Planet B book is because I was helping him show that there's all these book titles, and then he's like, I'm gonna get start on it, and he's like, yeah, there's this, and then there's that, and went off of it. So I could share that with you if you want, and maybe we could work together on some book writings to help Sailesh out. Is that what you're hoping for?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how to go about it, but I think we've got some good structures, loads of ideas, and I don't know. I just think maybe we could be ready to be able to get something like that set up. But I'm not very good with typing and computer work. I've been doing all right with these episodes, but it still takes me a very long time.
I mean, like, we're all starting somewhere. I'm not good at book writing. No matter what I do, I cannot write a book for the life of me. I mean, Barb last night was saying she can't write a book for the life of her. So, we all aren't really able to do something, but that's shouldn't be the end all be all. Just because this is how it is now, it doesn't mean it has to be in the future. Like, we're not good at something, let's work on it to be good at something. If that's what we need to get by, to forge ahead, because I feel like we're just scratching the surface. We're probably going to need a whole lot of books for that education direction that Sailesh was talking about yesterday. And as I was saying, it's kind of about prevention, but I didn't even get to talk about last night the idea of past education, which is knowledge building. You need to have some foundation in order to work off of it to teach someone anything. So to write down what these ideas are, as you said, you start with this origin, like the Bible, and then you start with formulating, writing in the codes, like the blueprint of it all, and then you start teaching. I think there's that middle step before teaching where you set up that foundation and put it in. The codes are part of that infrastructure. Finding out is part of that infrastructure, but there's this part about prevention where you set up everything in place first and then teach people, so that you have something to show people, so they can have something to work with. You can't just teach someone something and just, or like, it's like when the documentaries will show us slaughterhouse footage and then say, oh, just go vegan, but they don't even explain how. Or if they explain how, there's nothing, there's, all the restaurants have animal products, all the stores do, there's no vegan anything. It's like, you can't do that. You have to put everything in place for people to work off of, and then have something to guide people through. So I feel the education is mainly to teach people how to navigate through something that's already set up, rather than trying to tell people concepts and tell them to figure it out on their own, something that they don't even know. So yeah, it kind of all fits together like that.
With the final few minutes we have left, I have Ray up here. He had raised his hand. I'd like to hear what Ray has to say. Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely. I'm done.
I was formulating a question for Sailesh based on the codes of a healthy earth as a chapter of his book. So he's bringing all these ideas together, and the codes are pretty comprehensive, yet are a chapter in his book, and their topics: nonviolence and stewardship, harmony and diversity, economy and law, education, learning and media, transitioning to new social systems. They all seem like something that should apply to everything, right? All the other chapters. Is it creating something that's new and distinct? Is it a checklist of things that we test and apply against all these different topics that we've covered? And I've mentioned that the NGOs cover different aspects of the environment and human development, the SDGs and the planetary boundaries and so forth. And to create a responsible path forward, we need to go shopping for values as individuals. We have associations with organizations, but we're all individuals trying to make decisions, and always complain that we've got decision makers at top summits making decisions where governments are making decisions. All the information that is asked of the scientific community is to form a policy. We need to form our own policies. So all these checklists, I'm coming to an old conclusion that Climate Healers is kind of that place where all these things are pulled together. Dr. Rao's putting it into a book, and each chapter is so deep and poignant that I'm compelled to go back and watch all these podcasts again, because it's not just something to go, oh, I learned a thing today. It's something you kind of have to absorb and build into your worldview and share with other people. This is our job, to try to get the culture to change. And all these NGOs, I think they understand that you need a groundswell of support. We often hear them say, we don't need you to go vegan. We need you to give money to our organization so that we can get those policies, right? It's all about policy. It's all about top-down change, because they've chosen industrial solutions and top-down solutions that require almost 100% top-down cooperation. You can't get new energy grids without government cooperation. Can you get a plant-based agricultural system without top-down involvement? Eventually, they got to be on board, but the appetite is ours. The appetite for energy is pretty banal. You plug in your electrical devices, you plug in your refrigerator. You don't care where that energy comes from unless you make an active effort to do so. But what's in the fridge? Who's in control of that? If somebody else is in control of it, then something's severely wrong. This is your choice. And this is back to what we were talking about before. How then shall we live? Does the COP Summit provide you information on how we should live, or is it actually counterintuitive? And they're telling us we're solving the world's problems here. All the government leaders, and I always emphasize, those are the economic leaders that are meeting. Make no mistake that they are there with an agenda of environmentalism first and foremost. Your elected officials run your economy. That's their first job. They'll get fired if they don't do that. So these are the people that we're sending to solve our problems. And then we sit back and go, well, let's see what they come up with. Let's see if they get this solved before we drive off the cliff. So, there has to be a groundswell of support, and it has to be people like us, that small group of people that are paying attention and having given up our agency because we believe that the people at COP are going to solve our problems. So we got the VCOP. Put in the V in.
Thank you, Ray. So with that, I'm going to close this session. I put in the chat that this same podcast will be replayed this evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. So you can invite, you can rewatch it, or you can invite other people to join. And Dr. Rao will be there to answer questions on this chapter. And then join us tomorrow. Tomorrow, as was said earlier at the end of the podcast, is on the civilizational transformation. So please join us tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us today. And let's go, Planet B.
The house is burning, but we're still sitting in the glow. Phones charged, lights on, pretending we don't know. But the forest is silent, the river's running low, and the flame on our plates is the strongest fire we throw. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. 7 boundaries broken, the earth pushed past the line. Climate, land, species, fresh water, chemicals, nutrients, oceans in decline. Not danger, disaster in real time. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Metafoodians rise, this is your power. And here in India, one truth stands the same. Milk is not just milk, dairy feeds the flame. Cows and methane, fields and forests turn to grain. Politics, culture, carbon, all wired to the same chain. Every cup of curd is heat in the air. Every block of butter is a forest repair. It's not a small habit, it's a planetary affair. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is our hour. Energy fixes half the hurt, Dr. Rao made that clear. But food fixes the other half, the half that's burning here. Change the plate, change the land, change the future's atmosphere. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Metafoodians unite, this is your choir. Every millet, every fruit, every sapseed, every bean is water on the wildfire of a world we've never seen. Every oil-free bite is a river turning clean. This is not perfection, it's direction. Not pressure, but protection. A week of choices can cool a generation. A company's courage can ignite a nation. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. Metafoodians unite, Metafoodians ignite, sharing love in the meta zone, light in the path to a cooler home. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Together we rise, together we inspire.